Walking down these narrow bylanes of Khanpur brings back memories of a painful past that 13-year-old Abdul Haq cannot forget, a time when he was a child laborer in one of these zari factories, working 16 hours a day for a measly sum of rupees 50 a week.
खाने के लिए देता था परंतु उतना अच्छा खाना उन्हें नहीं मिलता था और मुझे सोने के लिए भी बिस्तर उस्तर भी नहीं मिलता था। उसके नीचे काम करते और उसके अड्डे के नीचे ही सुला देते थे और जब काम करता था 16 घंटा काम करता था और जब नींद पड़ती थी जब रात को नींद पड़ती थी और तो सोने के लिए मैं झुक जाता ना तो मारते भी थे।
Not so long ago, Khanpur in South Delhi was notorious for employing minor children in its flourishing garment factories, especially zari making. But that's history now, after a concerted intervention by Global March Against Child Labour and Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Khanpur is now a child-free hub in the lower tiers of the garment supply chain. Much of this change has been implemented by investing in women, the benefits of which have trickled down to their children who are now going to school. Workshops like these, conducted by experts from the National Institute of Fashion Technology, help women at this stitching center become self-sufficient. The newfound confidence among them is promising.
ये मैंने अपना सूट सिला, जो मैं ये पहने हुए हूँ ये भी मैंने ही सिला सूट। बच्चों की यूनिफॉर्म बना लेती हूँ स्कूल की, दौरानी है वो यूनिफॉर्म के पैसे देती है मेरे को, मैं सिल लेती हूँ। मगर अब मेरे घर का खर्चा भी सही से चल जाता है और मैं यहाँ भी सिलाई सीख रही हूँ। दीदी यहाँ भी मेरे को रोजगार देने बोल रहे हैं।
India's textile and garment sector, coveted for being the second largest producer in the world and the sixth biggest exporter, sits uncomfortably on the fact that its garment supply chain is infested with instances of child labor and forced labor.
India has the dubious distinction of having the largest number of child laborers in the world. After agriculture sector, garment is the second largest employer of children. Children are working in growing cotton and cotton seeds. Children are working in spinning mills. Children are engaged in stitching, embroidery, transportation, in every form of work which is carried out in garment sector, children are working.
In order to address this issue, Global March Against Child Labour galvanized the efforts of a multi-stakeholder forum from across apparel retailers, exporters, government agencies, trade unions, and child rights NGOs. This network resulted in its forward movement. Not made by children, the project aims to create a responsible and accountable garment sector in India by eliminating child labor. Not Made by Children seeks to achieve strengthening the multi-stakeholder garment steer group on child labor, sensitization and capacity enhancement of the labor inspectorates to inspect and monitor violations, generate awareness of core labor standards across supply chains through outreach initiatives with workers and subcontractors, remediation and withdrawal of child laborers, development of a comprehensive toolkit based on learnings for approaches to eliminate child labor and promote decent work. Perpetuation of child labor runs deep down the social structure, making it difficult to wipe it out. Most of the trafficked children are not simply child laborers. They are held as bonded laborers. They are deprived of education, healthcare, food, safe drinking water, and even freedom of movement. Above all, they lose human dignity. These are childhoods interrupted, lost to the cruel logic of global capital that looks little beyond profit making. Pulling them out of this vicious cycle is difficult, making raids and rescues a crucial option.
We plan secret rescue operations, what we call the raid and rescue operations. We identify the area, we do good recce work, everything is done very carefully because it's always risky. We do cooperate with local agencies. That includes police, district magistrate or subdivisional magistrate of that area, and the labor department people. So with all these preparation, we go and rescue these children. It must not take much time. So within few minutes, we have to take out all these children. Of course, they are traumatized. Some of them could not comprehend what is happening with them. So we have to be very passionate to build confidence in them.
A natural progression from such experience is the Not Made by Children project objective to enhance the capacities of Child Labour Inspectorate on child labour inspection and monitoring.
ನೀವು 80-90ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಲಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೆಸ್ಕ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕರು ನಮಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಸಹಕಾರ ನೀಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಈಗ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಜನಜಾಗೃತಿ ಮೂಡಿಸೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದೇ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ರು.
Not Made by Children is implemented in 3 government clusters: Delhi, NCR and Punjab, Tirupur in Tamil Nadu, Bangalore in Karnataka. The project impacts 1 lakh government workers, 20% of the government exports from India, 2,000 child labourers from the RMG sector, generated awareness of core labour standards across supply chains, holds dialogues with workers and subcontractors, generating cognizance of labour rights and responsibilities, promotion of decent work standards. Development Initiatives for Social Causes, a non-governmental organization, helped establish the Garment Workers Union with far-reaching implications.
We enrolled 2,572 members to the Garment Workers Union, which was indeed a great achievement because our target set was 2,500. We reached the target well ahead of that. So we were able to conduct 105 weekly workers meeting on every Tuesday at this office, wherein about 723 garment workers attended this. I can proudly say the minimum wages, which was 128 at the beginning of our project, at the end of it, it has been, though we demanded 200 rupees for minimum wages for the common workers, garment workers, it has been adjusted to some 182 or something.
We started one credit cooperative society exclusively for these women who are going for garment industry, and we are providing them loan for giving the filling their school fees of their children, and we organized self-help groups where we are tied up with nationalized banks like Corporation Bank and Canara Bank, providing financial support for them and for their children.
Subcontractors, due to their socio-economic circumstances and being outside the ambit of regulations, are often exploited with contracts that are tilted in favor of the buyers. A study by Global March Against Child Labour on garment subcontracting in Bangalore found that children worked in them in appalling working conditions. Consequently, involving subcontractor groups became crucial.
ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು 2 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಅವರಿಗೇನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ದುಡ್ಡಿನ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಆ ಟೈಮ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನನ್ನಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ESI ನನಗೆ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಆದಷ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಕೈಲಾದಂಥ ಸಹಾಯ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಒಂದು 20 ಜನ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಸರ್. ಅದು 20 ಜನದಲ್ಲಿ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ. 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಮೂಲಿ 2 ಸಾವಿರ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ 2 ಸಾವಿರ ತೀರಿಸಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ 5 ಸಾವಿರ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ಉಳಿತಾಯದಿಂದ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಶ್ರೀದೇವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಧನಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅಮಿತಾ ಅವರಂತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಬಂದು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ದು ಇದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕೌಂಟು ಥರ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೂಪ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ.
300 kilometers from Bangalore, this railway junction at Tirupur in Tamil Nadu reveals the dark underbelly of a city that accounts for more than 90% of India's cotton knitwear exports. Migrants from across India come here for work in its thriving hosiery and cotton industry, estimated to be $1 billion. Glitzy factory facades are formidable and forbidding. These are good catchment areas for cheap labor, especially vulnerable children, many of whom have never seen the world beyond the four walls of these factory complexes.
அது ரொம்ப விளையாடவே மாட்டோம். இப்போ காலையில் 9 மணிக்கு போயிட்டோம்னா நைட்டு 9 மணி, சில நேரம் 8:30 மணிக்கு போனால் 8:30 மணிக்கு, இந்த மாதிரி வரனால விளையாடவும் முடியாது, ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருக்கும்.
It is not easy to return young teenagers like 13-year-old Mujiba back to school. Once an 8th grader at the Tirupur Municipal Higher Secondary School, she was forced to drop out after her father abandoned their family. For Mujiba, freedom means a choice to be able to attend school.
பெருசானதுக்கப்புறம் டீச்சர் ஆகி என்ன மாதிரி பசங்களை படிக்க வச்சு அவங்களும் அவங்க மாதிரி இதாகணும் அப்படிங்கிறது தான் என்னோட ஆசை.
Unemployment and chronic poverty has made child labor socially acceptable, and so awareness building among parents is of critical importance. Syed Mustafa, a father of 5, acknowledges the positive impact of sending children to school.
ஃபஸ்ட்டு அந்த பிள்ளைக்கு எழுத படிக்க தெரியாது, இப்போ ஓரளவுக்கு லைட்டாக படிக்குது, கொஞ்சம் எழுதுது. இந்த பிள்ளைக்கு கொஞ்சம் விளையாட்டு புத்தி அதிகம், விளையாடு அடிக்கடி. அப்புறம் ஸ்கூலுக்கு இப்போ காலையில் இருந்துச்சு, அதே இப்போ தண்ணி ஊற்றி குளிச்சுக்கும், துணி மாற்றிட்டு அதே ஸ்கூலுக்கு போயிடுது.
The first step was the hardest. It was the acknowledgement of the existence of the problem itself, from an industry in denial to a willingness to listen.
The biggest achievement has been to establish that large number of child laborers and child slaves are working in this industry. Secondly, we have been able to mobilize the government authorities by way of sensitization and training. Thirdly, media was engaged, and it was good response from the media that they have started digging out stories on their own because they are sensitized. In more concrete terms, we have been able to liberate more than 2,500 children from bonded labor and child labor in different places and different situations. So on one hand we keep on rescuing children, but also the workers who are engaged in garment sector has to be sensitized, trained and empowered so that they can fight for their legal wages. And we are very happy to tell that at least 10,000 such workers have been properly trained, and they have been able to strengthen their unionization, and they were able to increase their collective bargaining.
The challenge before us is to move the goalpost, to raise the conscience of the society against child labor, to develop self-reflexivity in India's garment sector, so that a real shift from child exploitation to empowerment based on values like accountability and ethical buying can take place. The onus lies on you to make yourself a part of this change, to give a future to young children that are this country's future. Our beginning has been scripted by the project Not Made by Children. It is a model that has yielded results, making it viable and replicable.